Hey guys, it's Arialis here. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about 10 things this pandemic has taught me. So let's go ahead and get right on into this video. But before I go, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Have a great day, y'all. Let's go on into this video. I have my list. I essentially was just thinking, well, I am an artist, if you are new to my channel, and I do a lot of paintings, and paintings are one of the ways that I express myself and learn and reflect. But another way that I do that is by reflecting in my life and seeing what has changed, how have I changed. So having that conversation with myself as to where are we going, where have we been, how has this affected us? So let's dive in with the 10 things I learned in this pandemic. Alright, so starting off with number 10, I put things can and will go wrong, so have a plan. So, this pandemic essentially brought my fears to the forefront. It made me accept my fear of losing my job. It made me accept my fear of not having a secure income and not having my job before really was what would keep my schedule secure, and I would plan my life around my job, which obviously I'm totally against. I don't believe that, labor is something that people really dream about. I don't think anyone really wants to be working a job where they don't want to be just to pay their bills. And I noticed that on everyone, but speaking from my personal experience, I was working as a barista, and then they just told us the week before COVID was formally established in the United States, they just told us hey, we have to let you go. This virus is taking everyone's jobs, so sign up for unemployment as soon as possible. So from that moment, I just was fuck, okay, so I'm on unemployment now. I don't know if this will cover my San Francisco rent, so let me just go ahead and knuckle down and stay at home as we were supposed to do. But then I started, the wheel started turning, and I was okay, most likely you're not going to be able to afford your rent in San Francisco because it's this much and unemployment only gives you this much. So I did stay in San Francisco on unemployment for, I want to say, started in March, and I've been on it up until now in January 2021. But I moved out of San Francisco, I want to say, in October. To move down here to Los Angeles. So things can and will go wrong, so have a plan. I essentially was in communication with my boyfriend. He told me that, him being someone who can rent a car, I am 23, so I can't rent a car yet. I essentially was please, help me rent this car, I will pay you back. And then, he said, of course. So we got the rental car, I packed all my stuff, and then we moved down here, and I've been paying rent down here ever since. So always have a plan. Just, even if you have to make up that plan in the moment, or whether you have time to make a plan and really have a really detailed plan as to what you're going to do, should certain disasters occur. This is my first time, and I'm sure many of you guys' first time dealing with a pandemic. I know a lot of the people around my age were just, living paycheck to paycheck, working a full-time job, going to school. So, I know that my story is not the only example of this, but yeah, so really make sure to plan and make sure that you have a plan should things go wrong. Number 9. People need to experience their own issues for themselves, and that is speaking to me first and speaking to y'all next. So I find that as someone who, as a friend, wants to really help out their friends and really support their friends, I noticed that I was accommodating friends and doing things for them, kind of processing their emotions or dealing with their trauma. And it's really uncomfortable stuff for us to face and to really look back on and, face those uncomfortable truths and the uncomfortable past. but I noticed that in my friendship groups, I just was doing a lot of the therapist stuff that I wasn't getting paid to be a therapist, out of the goodness of my heart. But it just taught me that honestly, like, this pandemic forced you to be on your own. So deal with your issues of having to fix other people's problems, fix your own problems, as I did. I overcame my debt and kind of had that conversation with myself, like, okay, so what are your real issues? What have you not tried to face? And honestly, like, my main issues were the fact that I would over insert myself into people's issues, into their lives, and then also the fact that I was ignoring the bureaucratic stuff is bullshit, but I was ignoring the debt that, even though it's not my responsibility, I was a part of a group that was responsible for a debt, and I was just ignoring it because I was like, well, if I ignore it, maybe it'll go away, right? And then it was my boyfriend that essentially was like, listen, you need to be able to talk to someone on the phone, get on the phone with someone and talk to them about this. And lo and behold, I spoke to collections and got the debt off of my account. I disputed it and I won. So literally, just if you have an issue with bureaucracy stuff, it's just a phone call away. Sure, you have to wait. Sure, sometimes people aren't the most thrilled to receive you, but so what? Just, deal with it, stay on that line, communicate what needs to be communicated, hang up, enjoy the rest of your day. So really figure out your own issues and let people deal with their own issues, because if they also are not having to process their own issues, you are essentially crippling them, because they don't have the grit, they don't have the tact, they don't have the experience of overcoming hardships and finding that pride in themselves, that resilience to say, wow, I overcame this. So number 9, let people experience their own issues by themselves. All right, number 8 is social media is corrupt and reality is what matters most. This was really inspired by just the fact that even before this pandemic, social media was kind of taking like a capitalist, racist, anti-black, just like approach. Like, censorship was crazy on Instagram, anti-blackness is crazy on Instagram. Twitter is really cool because there's not as much censorship. Like, I see sex workers, I see porn, I see people speaking truths out there that shouldn't be talked about and they're not being censored. So I focus on Twitter, but all these corporations are literally collecting your data, they're invading your privacy, and they also are trying to manipulate you psychologically to keep you on your phone and keep scrolling and keep making them money, which obviously has mental health issues and consequences for people who are on social media all day just scrolling. And for me as an artist, like, I use social media to share my art, to share my opinions, this being the number one example with YouTube. But you just have to be really intentional and really present and see, like, are you being taken advantage of by these corporations? Maybe you should focus on your immediate environment. For me, painting is something that's always grounded me to reality. Reading and just like being in the present moment is just really helped me from staying on my phone for hours and hours scrolling, especially because I'm also on TikTok, which encourages nothing but that. So really just be mindful, and through experience you'll learn fast. But essentially just know that social media is corrupt. It's a business, it's a corporation, it's not a diary, it's some place where you should just be posting like your art or whatever your chosen topics are, and keeping your peace, love, happiness, all of that stuff to yourself and keeping it in your reality, because the evil eye is out there. The evil eye is trying to take you if you are essentially boasting all this good shit that's happening to you. Like, people will easily shit on your parade. So really make sure that you keep a healthy amount of discretion and discernment when it comes to posting certain things. Keeping a journal has really helped me from overshare, as I used to overshare on social media a lot when I was a lot younger. So really make sure that you are just understanding the reality of the situation. Because I know a lot of younger people, like, we just see social media as a form of self-expression, but there are bad people out there that want to hurt you and take advantage of you and your emotions and what you're posting. So really just be safe and be careful. Okay, number 7. Sometimes people who love each other can't be together, and that's okay. Okay, so the one thing that came to mind was my best friend Alanis. Shout out to my best friend Alanis. And I love her very much, and she loves me very much, and we were best friends the entire time I was living in San Francisco. And the day that I was moving out of San Francisco, we hung out one last time, and as we hugged each other, I really saw, like, damn, two people who love each other, like me and her, like, we love each other and we would love to be able to hang out and be together, but we can't, and that has to be okay. We still communicate, we still like catch up with each other, and do long distance like FaceTime or phone calls. It's really not hard to pick up your phone and call your friends, but there's also a healthy amount of autonomy and independence that this pandemic has brought about. So really making sure that people can be alone with themselves and live alone with themselves and not have to use other people as crutches for their lack of confidence in being alone or living life without the support of anyone else. So, number 6. Accepting that some people are best left to live their life instead of trying to force a connection. I feel like this is a lot less prominent now because everyone is kind of just doing their own thing and living their own life. But before, I feel like a lot of people, either through social media or in person, like, there would just be like this attempt to force a connection, and maybe it's a trauma bond, maybe it is the fact that you just really like this person and how they are very similar to you, whether it's because they have similar characteristics, maybe they have certain values, maybe they look similar to you, maybe they have a similar life story that you guys just can connect on. But also remember that a lot of people have trauma, and I have trauma, and sometimes the best thing for you to do is to just say, hi, how are you today? Good. And then keep it moving, go live your life. Because sometimes you see these people as like a good opportunity to be social, but you don't see that it's an investment. Like, if you really are about to start talking to this person, like, this person has feelings and thoughts that may align or be completely opposite of yours. There's also the fact that you guys like will exchange a lot of energy getting to know each other. So sometimes, like, as much as I love someone who's out on the street and seems like they'd be super cool, it's best to let things happen naturally and don't force a connection. I also notice this a lot, like, with people who are maybe just like antisocial, but like they kind of like force a compliment or force like a conversation when we really could just like make eye contact, like nod, and just keep moving. Like, it doesn't have to be anything, and you don't have to take it personal. So really understand that sometimes, like, that little moment where you could reach out and talk to someone and find out their life story and all this, like, that could just be like a quick hi and bye. If it's really meant to be, like, I'm sure you guys will find a way to come together, but don't force anything. Alright, number 5. So, save and conserve. Nothing has taught me how to save better than this past year. 2020 essentially showed me that I was living paycheck to paycheck, with debt, with some shit at collections. Luckily I got it off, and luckily I don't have any more debt, but it really showed me that, like, it's so easy as a 20-something to just go down a rabbit hole of bad finances. So it's important that you educate yourself on how to be financially literate, understand what credit is, understand the responsibility that must be enforced when you have credit cards, or when you just like when you're an adult on your own. Because I'm an adult on my own. I don't have my parents supporting me. I don't have my parents even talking to me. So it's like, if shit really hits the fan, like, it's up to me and my finances. It's nobody's else responsibility to take care of you except yourself. So really, like, those moments where you're like, oh, I could eat out, or I could spend money on something like that won't even matter in 10 years, like, really invest in what you're trying to buy if you are trying to spend money, but understand that it's better to have a safety net of finances that you could use during emergencies. And also, it just brings a lot of just a rest assured feeling, knowing that if there is a major emergency, you have the funds to make it from point A to point B. You have the funds to survive. and you don't need to be worrying about being dependent on anyone else but yourself. So really save and conserve, and not even just money, but save and conserve energy. Understand when, the ego tells us to go, go, go and to stay busy, but you really need to make sure that you're resting and not overworking yourself. I see a lot of people, both older and younger than me, that have believed this lie in capitalism that you have to be moving constantly. Productivity is of God. Like, you must rest, you must slow down, you must recover your body for all the energy and all the movement that is constantly happening. So it's not just money, it's energy, it is resources, it is your well-being. You should save and conserve yourself, because you really don't know when you'll need that little boost of like energy or just like other resources that you've saved that, if you would have wasted, you would have been screwed in the present moment. So number 4 is finances are important, but not worth obsessing over. And this is more so for anyone who has debt, anyone who has anything at collections. As you get older, you will make mistakes, and hopefully you can dodge these mistakes so you don't have like a huge record or really shitty credit. But if you do, understand that credit is a social construct, and at the end of the day, what really truly matters is making sure that your body is healthy, that your mind is healthy, and that you have some form of a connection to your soul, whether it's through the arts, whether it's through prayer, whether it's through meditation. Understand that there are more important things than the systems around us that the United States, and if you're in another nation, like whatever your nation is, your city, your town, like you surviving and you living this life as it is a gift to live is more important than anything else. So, make sure that with my last point, make sure that you're saving money and being financially smart and financially literate, but also understand that people go through, shit credit. People go through being in the negatives. People go through just a lot of money shit, and it's rigged this way to keep poor people poor, but you don't have to give into the trap. You can save money instead of spending it. You can be a creator instead of a consumer. There's just different things. You have to research it for yourself. Google is free. And I will personally say that Google has helped me understand so much of the world around me that public school never taught me. I learned how to, do taxes. I learned about credit. I learned about credit reports. I learned about all this shit through Google, and all it took was a quick search. So Google is free, and Google is your friend. All right, number 3. Prioritize mind, body, and soul unity. Honestly, I feel like when I was really in the rat race of making money and working full time and going to school, I really neglected my body. I neglected it by not working out, by not moving my body, by not stretching it every morning, by not meditating. There's just so much that by being mindful and present in the moment you can do to help your body heal from the trauma that it's faced. I have been a fat person all my life, and I feel like because I couldn't face my trauma and the issues that I had, it was just really hard for me to lose weight. But once I started prioritizing my mind, my body, and my soul, I feel like the pounds just came off. And this isn't to say that bigger people, fat people, can't have a really healthy mind, body, and soul unity, but I noticed that the trauma that you experience in life shows itself through your body. That's my spiritual theory, is that, I had a lot of trauma with people calling me fat as a little kid, so a lot of my trauma made sure that it manifested itself in my belly and made sure that I essentially just felt like stuck. But then once I accepted the fact that I love my belly and I love everything about my body, I just noticed that it started to really be strong, and it started to really fight for itself and make sure that my body stayed healthy and, fighting for the fact that I should live a long life. And then when it comes to the mind, I've always been someone who's really mind heavy, kind of top heavy, but just I'm always in my mind, I'm always thinking, I'm always doing different things with my mind. My mind just pulls up things from the past, present, and future. But really slowing it down through reading, through meditation, it just allows you to be more precise with your energy and you don't feel as drained all the time. And then my last point, the soul like if you have a good spiritual practice, like for me, I ground myself by doing yoga, I ground myself by meditating. Drinking water for me is really spiritual. Being near water is really spiritual. Painting is really spiritual. Just researching about different things in my craft, like that's really a good way to connect to my spirit. So really, when your mind, body, and soul are connected, you really can't go wrong, and nobody can manipulate you. Nobody can make you believe anything that isn't in your reality and in your truth. So prioritize that and you will be golden, I swear. For number 2, things that are hard now will become easier with practice. So when I first started learning guitar, that shit was so hard because I could not just get the muscle memory. I couldn't get the fact that this hurts every time I press down on one of the strings. I got really upset that I didn't automatically sound amazing. Yoga was hard at first because I just was really stiff. I felt like my body was breaking. But really, it's about progress. It's not perfection. You really just have to focus on showing up for yourself in the present moment and making sure that you are not making up excuses as to why you're not focusing on a practice. Every practice will make perfect, and I know that's corny, but like if it wasn't for the fact that I practice music or art weekly, like I would not be going or getting anywhere along my lifelong journey of just being a multimedia artist. So really make the time. And especially with social media, if you just drop your phone, you will get so much done, I promise you. Try it. If you're holding your phone right now, if you're scrolling, because I know we all have bad attention spans because of social media, like just drop your phone, turn it off, go let it charge, and see how much you can get done. Because really, when this shit is not in my hands, I feel really proud. Ricardo? And then number 1, life is about connecting with your inner child, growing through mistakes, and being patient enough to live this life. Whew, I'm so sorry, that was so scary. I heard someone try and open my front door, and I thought it was my boyfriend because he has keys, and so I went to go check and there's no one there. So moving forward. So life is about number 1 is, sorry, I'm a little frazzled. Life is about connecting with your inner child, growing through mistakes, and being patient enough to live this life. Honestly, for the longest time, I was just always rushing to see what's next in this life and trying to think that I am someone who's not going to make the mistakes of my predecessors. I am not going to be in the same position that they are. But honestly, life is about you. Your life is the consequence of all the mistakes you've made. And whether they're good mistakes or bad mistakes, you really can't know until you've made it. And the sooner you can reconnect with your inner child, you will find that your life is authentic and truly where you're meant to be. And sometimes I feel like I'm going insane because I just, I feel like I can't wait until I'm 99 years old to just die. But there's a lot of peace in the fact that I have a spiritual connection and the fact that I'm growing on my spirituality. I feel like there's really nothing that I can't wait out. I have the patience to live this life, and I have a good connection and a healthy connection with both my inner child, my light and my shadow. It's nicely integrated, and it's really something that you just embody. Like, you can talk about it all day, but until you really embody it, that's when you truly start to understand how rich this life can be. Even if you don't have a lot of money, I'm barely on the road to not being in the negatives. I finally have, a savings account, and I have a credit card with a healthy limit, and, I'm not going crazy on it. So really just make sure that you're taking your time with this life, and that is all I have to say for this video. Wow, got a little spooky towards the end, especially I hate when I'm home alone and I'm just like, spirits, what's going on? So, I'm okay. I'm gonna go probably put rollers in my hair. I bought these really cute silicone rollers, and they just leave my hair all wavy, and they're just super cute. So I'm gonna put rollers in my hair. I'm going to watch some, I'm watching Veneno right now. Super beautiful. It's really humanizing the trans experience, especially in, in Spain, but I feel like in just like the black and brown community, it's not so much centered on whiteness. As the trans community tends to center white people, I feel like there needs to be Spanish stories, there needs to be black stories, and we need to understand them so we can embrace them in the present. So that video, this concludes 10 things this pandemic taught me. Share anything that this pandemic has taught you. If y'all have learned anything about yourself, about the people around you, about reality, like, make sure to drop it down in the link, or drop it, sorry guys, drop it down in the comments, and make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And I truly appreciate each and every one of y'all who has supported me. I feel on just a consistent journey of having my art practice, and I'm excited to see where it goes. So have a great night. Take care.